actors slash producers slash writers slash directors. It's hard to just be, an actor in this business, or just to be a writer. I mean, if you're a writer, you could be a writer producer, but you have to get out and knock on doors and do the uncomfortable things of getting people interested in product, and asking for money, and asking people. You just have to put yourself out there.
Yeah, well,
And it's a long process. I mean, when I went to USC Film School, I thought I just have to write great scripts, and once I write great scripts, I'm going to send them out, and I'm going to, be making these big giant studio movies, and everyone's going to say I'm great, and I mean, or you meet producers who say, hey, I need you to write this genre horror movie, or this genre Lifetime movie, or this genre Hallmark movie, and once we do that, then we could, maybe then we could focus on your bigger projects. But let's get these off the ground first.
Yeah, and I like how that, like, as an independent filmmaker, you're like, oh, where can I get the space or the building for free? And I'm like, oh, outdoors. And we did Zombie Diaries, the survival games, and so we had them outside, and like, because it's free. But then you didn't realize, like, oh, there's a helicopter flying over almost every 5 to 10 minutes, and then like, so like, and then you're like, and then it just all the challenges, yeah. And then I remember just saying, oh, to have a budget, to have a real DP, a real editor, and actors that knew their lines. You just want all that. So I think that's why, like, I tend to go to writing, because I'm like, it's almost like sewing. I'm just at my machine and I have a piece of material and I can just sew it. But then, like, when you work by yourself too much, like, oh, I want to meet people, I want to talk to people. So that's why, like, I guess my kids' podcast, Enchanting Book Readings, um, I'm doing it all by myself, and that's why I did Filmatics, because I'm like, I get to talk to directors and producers and actors and writers and Oscar-winning sound from Formosa Group for Dune, and meet all these fabulous people, and community, and talking and meeting people, and it's just been fabulous, and our audience
But
loves learning and
that's what
hearing.
it's all about. And look, going out and making like you said, the zombie movie with on a shoestring budget. Yeah, more than likely, no one's ever going to see that. But the experience is invaluable, because then you know what not to do. You learn more the things not to do. And of course, some things are going to work well, and you're going to say, yeah. But I made that comment to this, WGA writer just this morning. I said, when after another 15 movies, I'll start to really understand the process. It's like you're learning all the time. I mean, it's like you never don't learn something on set. Every day you're shooting something, and especially things that you're writing and rewriting, and things that you write on paper that you say, oh my God, this is the best scene ever. When you get on set, when you're doing the practical, the practicalities of blocking, of actors rehearsing, of shooting it, and sometimes you see it just doesn't work. I mean, it's great on paper, but it doesn't work in reality, and when you're shooting it, and so these are the kind of things that you learn for the next time. Why was that character? Why didn't they come across well? Why did that line of dialogue not work? And all those things, you look at it and you do better next time.
Yeah. And then, like, we had this one host for the show that he was just supposed to be the host. Hey, welcome to the Zombie Diaries. And he sets up the first challenge, and he would forget the tagline. He would forget it. And like, it took so long for some reason, and it's eating up time, and it's getting darker and darker and darker. And then you have less time to shoot the other stuff. But there, like you said, it's like a free film school. Cause I remember, like, oh, I can apply to AFI. It costs how much? Back in the day, it was like almost 90,000. And like, I can make 20 movies for that. And like, you're like, oh, so goodbye, AFI. I will do it myself.
I mean, film school is a great experience, but it it prepares you to, get a degree from film school, but it doesn't prepare you for these things. Like you just said, when you're on set and the sun is going down, and you have this scene. I mean, we did that in Mississippi. I mean, we're in the middle of Canton, Mississippi, in the forest, and our day is done. And I mean, we're at the end of the day, and we needed this big action scene. And I I called Harrell. Harrell wasn't on set, and I just couldn't figure it out. I was like, "How do we shoot this?" And he came across with this idea that, like, let's put all these three characters back to back, and these aliens are coming at them, and the camera's going around them, and they're just kind of shooting out. So instead of them running through the forest and shooting all these aliens, they're back to back. We got like a circular dolly going around them.
Oh, love that
We
circular
don't even,
dolly.
yeah, we don't even see like the aliens. We just see them, panicking and shooting, and it worked so well, and it was better than anything that was written on the page. But you wouldn't know that
Sure.
until you're like in the moment, and the day is ending, and everybody's tired, and everybody wants to go home, and you still got to shoot something, and you're lost, and then an idea hits, and it's all of a sudden, okay, this is how we're going to do it, and it ends up working better than anything that you could have thought about previously. And so those are the kind of things that, when you're on set, when you're doing it yourself, when you're out there making even bad content, you're still making content, and you're learning. So when you do it again, you're not going to make the same mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, "Oh, my first dolly shot with the little tracks." I felt so professional, and we were at Beechwood Canyon outside of the Beechwood Market over there,
Yeah.
and a crowd started gathering, and I was working with a child actor. Off camera, he's a ham, he's happy. As soon as we say action, he freezes up. The crowd's gathering, and like we keep shooting over and over again. Every time the camera wasn't off, funny, uh, just so energetic, so confident. As soon as you said action, he would freeze and not do, because he had to look up and see the alien ship coming, and we needed him to hit that mark. But it's like learning that. I remember my first dolly shot, like with the tracks. I just thought I was like, oh my god, I went to heaven and I'm a real director. And then we tried another scene where like I was doing like the Stanley, I call it the Stanley Kubrick shot, where the guy's playing poker are playing and the alien appears and the one guy sees them, and it's like a slow pan. And it was just so fun to do those shots. And I just remember my first wraparound shot. And when I left, because the little kids opened the gate, my husky went up the hill, and there's coyotes. So they said, "We'll do the wraparound shot. We'll do another take for you." I come back, and like you look in the camera, like there's a door open to the bedroom where the cameras are. And when you do the wraparound shot, you can see the cameras and all of that, like when you're circling, and you're like, "This is no good," because the guys are like, trying to be directors too. And I'm like, but you, like you said, like those experiences are valuable because you learn, like, you got to make sure like the stuff's not in the way that you're filming. You don't see reflection, you don't see camera, you don't see the equipment in the shots, and all this stuff. And like, the dog ran off, oh, I got to go get the dog, all these things. But those were like you said, valuable lessons. And no one's probably going to see that, but I learned a lot. Like I learned, like, oh, let me let the master directors handle their business, and maybe I'll just be an actor on it, or maybe I'll be a writer producer one day of a proper film that people can see. That's my dream, is like some of these number one audio IPs that like will get their chance to be a TV show or a film, hoping one day. But so how does that, can I ask, how does it feel to see your film on the big screen? Is that just like an amazing feeling?
Um. Yeah. The first time when I saw Deadly Outbreak, I mean, we had a mini premiere in like Westwood. That was, yes, that was fun. That was fun, and it's always fun seeing your movie on the big screen. But I mean, we all become jaded, and so you do it and you do it, and it's a job. I mean, this is what I do. It's my job, and so especially in acquisitions and development, I mean, we make the movie, and you know, once I'm off set, it's like, yes, we're in post, but then like, what are we doing next? And it's like we not only have to rewrite projects to get them in good enough shape to start pitching, or you're pitching, or you're trying to close a financier, and so you don't get a lot of time to really sit back and admire your work. It's at least I don't. I mean, it's great. I like seeing it, but then it's like, what are we have to? What are we doing next? I mean, you got to keep going. Um, if you want to keep working, you can't pause and take a moment and say, "Wow, this is." Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I'm like, "Wow, this is." I'm in the movie industry, and this is my job, and this is what I do, and it's kind of hard to believe, because, as I said, I mean, I always thought I was going to be just a screenwriter, and to be on set, and to be producing, and to be talking to a ton of people, and it's 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 a fun experience. Yes.
And let me just ask you one more question. Like, do you get your inspiration from writing? Do the stories just come to you, or like, is there any kind of process that you go through as a screenwriter?
Well, that's one of the things a little frustrating for me, because I really haven't I really haven't worked on anything that I've created. Like Blossom, Harrell and I wrote that like 29 years ago, and it was, at the time, it was like the hand that rocks the cradle. We were trying to do. I mean, there wasn't, of course, any streaming, but there was, DVDs and stuff. So we were just trying to do a knockoff on the hand that rocks the cradle. But then over the years, people liked the script, and people thought it had potential, and then Lifetime liked it at one point in time. So we really worked on the characterizations, and kind of elevated it, and made it more of like In the Line of Fire, Clint Eastwood, John Malkovich, where these two women kind of have this one-on-one relationship. I mean, it starts acrimonious, and then they become friends, and then they really care for each other, and then, as I said, you find out that the woman had evil intent all along, and there's a twist, um, and so it really became an elevated thing, and so that's always fun to work on ideas and try to take them to the next level. Um, but I've just been doing a lot of rewriting on either old scripts or other people's projects, and not really sitting down and coming up with my own thoughts and ideas, and telling a story I want to tell. It's kind of busy, just trying to get the things going that we're trying to get the things going. But I like, even the indie stuff that you're doing with the budget. It's like I said, you can build characters, you can build relationships, where you have really interesting people with characters with depth, with backstory. So you understand their motivations, you understand why they do things, and it all makes sense. It's people are bad. People aren't born bad. They have to get that way. So, what did they go through in their lives to put them in this place? And so those are interesting things to think about. And the movies that really work, especially genre movies, um, yes, I mean, you can have Steven Seagal out there kicking ass, and but the movies, the Statham movies that really work are the ones that give him some heart and give him some character and give him some backbone, and depth. And so he's not just this, crazy killing machine. I mean, it's like, why did John Wick, do so well? Is because people can really buy into Keanu, and I mean, he's had a sad history. His wife is dead. His dog is killed, and he has motivation to do what he does. I mean, and that's what people want. They want to be able to empathize with people, and they want to be able to put themselves in somebody else's shoes. And so nobody wants to put themselves in somebody's shoes who's a two-dimensional, weak character. So that is what is really fun about writing, is to try and think about these characters and make them realistic, and give them, nobody's all bad, nobody's all good. I mean, so people have to have depth, and people have to have faults, and so those are the things you try to work into your characters.
Yeah, like the professional. I remember with we had the little plant. Remember the little plant?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, but that's a perfect example. I mean, this guy's a killer. It's like I said with Raging Bull. I mean, you have so much empathy for him because he's a simple man, and he drinks his milk, and he takes care of his plant,
It's like heart.
and then
Tears
this
gushing
little
out.
girl comes into his life, and he realizes what he's been missing, and what he's been missing is human connection. And again, it goes back to what I'm saying. Why do people like movies? Is because they see people loving, caring, having each other's back, and what is a better example than just what I mean, The Professional. It's about a freaking professional hitman, and yet he takes this little girl under his wing, and they become a family, and it's the care that they have for each other. That's what the movie is about. Yes, there's all shooting, and Gary Oldman blows up, and yes, but the heart of that story is the heart of the relationship between Jean Reno and Natalie Portman. That is what we're there to see.
Well, I know, Charles Morris, you're going to be writing something equally as fabulous as a professional. And like, I just enjoyed so much having you on the show. And just want to thank our beautiful audience of film addicts for listening and making us a top podcast, hitting #1 weekly in countries. And just want to thank you, Charles Morris Jr., VP Development and Acquisitions of the Global Genesis Group. Please look out for all his amazing films from Lifetime to BT Plus. Just want to thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you, and thank you, Film Addicts.
You're welcome.